I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It is your daily sports podcast that wows you every single day here on this Tuesday, January 13th. We welcome you in. It's a Tuesday. That means, what do we got today? We'll talk college football. The Ducks getting their asses kicked. National championship preview. Hoosiers, Hurricanes. John Canzano from the famed JohnCanzano.com website. Also, check out John's YouTube page as well. His weekly appearance brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Then we will turn our attention to Netflix star Danny Kelly. That's right, Danny Kelly and his crew now on Netflix. He, of course, joins us from The Ringer to always talk all things NFL, also including your Seattle Seahawks. Our NFL conversations brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. So we'll get to those. Those are the two interviews. Today, of course, we'll do On This Day and Hey, What the Puck. And then in addition, we'll get you all covered on everything and all in the world of sports. Thank you for watching and listening, whether it's YouTube, X, whether it's live or not. By the way, you can listen to the live show on the Puck Sports mobile app. Download it to your Android phone or your iPhone. But if you're watching or listening later, thank you. Does not matter. Get the question all the time. Doesn't matter where I watch or listen. It does not. Of course, you can find everything up on YouTube. Search Puck Sports. And, of course, check out all the great podcast platforms. Two main ones, Apple and Spotify. Hey, when you're there, take some time out. Leave a comment. How about rate the show? We could use all the help that we can get, all right, from you, the listeners. We get help from Limback Lumber. Limback Lumber Studios, contractors. They're going to offer you free deliveries from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. They got the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. They've been doing business since 1930, so they know what they're doing. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Follow me on all the social media platforms, Puck Sports everywhere, except for TikTok. It's Puck_sports. And, of course, find everything at pucksports.com. There is a link to sign up to become a Pucks Posse member. Your membership includes, well, it's helping everything that we do here daily on the Daily Puck Drop. Plus, we give you bonus shows every single week. We'll have a new episode of the Sports Pit with Matt Stretch Johnson coming out later today. Tomorrow, we'll have our baseball talk with Ryan Divish, Inside Pitch with him. And then Thursdays with Mitch and another episode of KJ Arts. We'll get to Canzano here in just a quick second. We'll talk about his interview with WSU President Elizabeth Cantwell, plus all the top storylines there in college football. Divisional round, of course, is set now in the NFL with the last game being played yesterday with the Houston Texans coming back, which was a game for 3 quarters, and then they beat the shit out of them in the 4th quarter, and it was over. And really, besides Seattle's defense, the Houston Texans have the best defense there in the NFL. So, Saturday slate, it will start with the Bills and Broncos kicking off at 1:30 on CBS. Seahawks do get the prime time game. We thought that was not going to happen for a quick second, but the executives, the people making those decisions made the right call. That is the best game of the day. So we got Seahawks-Niners coming up 5 o'clock on Fox, and then Sunday's schedule, Texans at the Patriots, 12 o'clock on ESPN. And then on NBC and Peacock, 3:30, Rams and Bears. Rams favored by 3.5. Patriots are favored by 3 at home. Seahawks back up to 7.5-point favorites over the 49ers. And the Broncos, slight favorites there against the Bills at 1.5. A week from today, you probably don't even know this, I think it's 29 or 30 days before the start of spring training. But a week from today, the Baseball Hall of Fame will announce their new inductees. And you probably know, you follow that guy on social media. He's no longer on Twitter. He's over at Blue Sky, but not Mr. Tibbs, Ryan Thibodeau, who does a great job of tracking all of the Hall of Fame ballots. And most people, there's only a few that don't send in their ballots. And right now, he's got about 42% of the ballots are in. And Felix Hernandez has made an amazing jump from year 1 to year 2. Last year, he was about on 20% of the ballots. Well, as of right now, Felix Hernandez is about 60%. He's just under it at 59.4%, which is just an amazing jump from year one to year two. Now, is he going to get the necessary votes, the 75 to get in this year? No, but it is setting up for him next year and maybe the year after that to get in. And I did not think Felix Hernandez would have a shot at the Baseball Hall of Fame. We got a lot of new voters, and those new voters are putting him on their ballot. So it will be real interesting. Can't wait to see from a week from today where Felix will end up. Last thing before we get to Canzano, big news coming out of the golf world yesterday. Brooks Koepka is back, and as expected, I knew there was going to be no suspension for Brooks Koepka. They want him back. They want all of these guys back. They set up some new returning members program BS, which is really just highlights 3 players, and that's it. And that's Brooks Koepka, Jon Rahm. Well, in addition, it's more than 3, but Koepka, Rahm, Cam Smith, and Bryson DeChambeau. That is it. That's who they want back. They don't want Phil Mickelson back. They don't want Patrick Reed back. They don't want anybody other than that group back. Why? Well, the players who have been off the tour for 2 years and have won a Players' Championship or a major between 22 and 25 are eligible to return. So that it's Koepka, DeChambeau, Rahm, and Cam Smith. Because in 21, Phil Mickelson won, or is it 20? He won the PGA Championship. They don't want him back at all. He's got to pay a fine, which is a $5 million donation to a charity. But this is a guy who most people, I don't think was actually given out how much he made, but it was about $100 million. So those guys hopefully will come back. I think they have until February 2nd or 3rd to make that call. All right, let's get to college football. What happened to the Ducks? We get a national championship preview. Our weekly chat with John Canzano, all brought to you by Flat Stick Pub, is coming up now. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com. And no one likes fun more than our next guest. And it's, ladies and gentlemen, it's John Canzano. Hey, I'm gonna play around with a new setting on the show, and I have to do it, but I have to do it live. Okay. And I want to see if it works. And all right. It's really just kind of the same thing. All right. And it's already changed. I was trying to get us. Do it. Are you going to do it? I already did it, and it really didn't do anything. Hey, can we talk about Felix Hernandez real quick? I have a Baseball Writers Association vote. I sent my ballot in. Yeah. I have not yet made it public, but it will be public because you have to check a box to say, hey, do you want your ballot to be public? Here's what I think is going on with King Felix. There's always a group of voters who don't vote for someone on the first ballot just to make the point of not voting for them on the first ballot. I think he'll get some consideration. He's got 1 Cy Young Award win. He's got 169 career victories. It's a little on the low end for Hall of Fame pitchers. You like to see those pitchers up over 200 before they get considered. 6-time All-Star. He's going to get some votes. I don't think he's going to get in on this ballot. Sure. I did not vote for him on this ballot, mainly because of those metrics. But the guy, there's something intangible that he brought to the city of Seattle that he needs to do a good job, and his PR people that he needs to go out and hire need to do a good job of sort of banging the drum for him and telling that story, because I don't think that's a story that most of the voters are going to understand. But I think Carlos Beltran will get in on this ballot. I think he's going to see the big uptick, and then I think King Felix will get up there maybe around 65%, and he'll have some work to do. Well, and no organization does a better job though of letting people know with like packets and information than the Mariners. I mean, they are, I mean, honestly, I think he would have got on at some point, but I think a huge reason why Edgar Martinez finally got in was because of the work of that staff behind the scenes. Before we get to college football, how did you vote for A-Rod? I did. I vote for the steroid guys. Because it's a principle thing for me, because I feel like Major League Baseball sort of dumped this in the lap of the sports writers, because they let these guys play. They knew these guys were using PEDs, even back to Bonds and McGuire, Sosa, all those guys. And then they said, we're going to let them play. We're going to let them pile up these numbers because it's great for baseball. It's great for this era. And then
we're going to kind of go, well, do they belong in the Hall of Fame? You guys decide, right? If you think that the Hall of Fame is a museum, I think you have to vote for these guys because it captures sort of an era of baseball that is a dark era. You can have a whole wing on the PED era.
Sure.
You could say this is a dark era of baseball, and these guys all, used PEDs, and look at the home run numbers. These guys were hitting, bazillion home runs, and look at their heads were too big for the batting helmets, but it happened. And you can't put that on the sports writers to have to kind of eyeball Mike Piazza and Albert Pujols and take a look at Sheffield. Do you think he was using, and then make your vote? So I just say, if it happened, we go on their numbers.
All right. Speaking of numbers, what the hell happened to Oregon?
No.
I mean, they just got, bludgeoned by Indiana. It starts off with the first play of the game, right? It's a pick six. Now you got conspiracy theory people saying Indiana's cheating. They were in the playbooks. They've got their first 15 scripted plays, all of it. Indiana from the get-go just showed why they're the best team in the country. They dominated that game. Right away. And now Oregon's left here going, God, we keep getting to this position, but on the biggest stage, we just can't get over the hump. And it's 2 years in a row, right? Happened last year against Ohio State, and it happens again with Indiana this year, John.
Yeah, culturally, our society does something with teams that get to the biggest stage but don't break through. I can remember I was in New York for the Super Bowl when the Seahawks were playing in that Super Bowl against the Broncos, the New York Super Bowl. Marv Levy, I'm in a restaurant. Marv Levy walks in, and he's standing beside me waiting for a table. And I thought, gosh, if he had only won one of those, Puck, they would have been like, Mr. Levy, right to your table. Let's bring you in here. But he was just Marv, party of four, because he lost those 3 Super Bowls. So, we do something with the teams that sniff around greatness, and we sort of look down on them. But Oregon lost to Ohio State last year, a team that I thought, was a world beater. They would have beaten anybody. This Indiana team has that same feel that they could beat anybody. They're that good. They're peaking. I think Indiana was just better and older. You look at the age of that roster, they're 23, 24-year-old guys out there on the field competing against Oregon's 19 and 20-year-old players. Like it give Oregon some more time, some more birthdays. Can they keep it together? Can they keep enough of these guys in school and from going to the NFL? I think Oregon will eventually break through. It looked to me like Oregon got there a year too early and just got their ass kicked.
I'm going to circle back though to the rematches, because there is. I tend to agree with you. His resume speaks for itself. What he's done since being the head coach, but he's getting in these rematches and games that in the first time are close. Right. One was a win and then one was a close loss. Now we're turning in to bloods. I'm going to circle back to that, but I want to go back just the overall looking at Oregon and the Indiana. Phil Knight just must be like throws his hands up. How much money have I given to this program over 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
Mark Cuban comes in here in the last year or two and is pumping money in, and he's going to win a national championship. That has got to be massively frustrating for Phil Knight.
Yeah, and you could try to make the argument, like, look at how far Oregon came from the 80s, but falls apart because Indiana has come light years in such a short period of time. And, for Phil Knight, it's $1 billion that he has pumped into the university as a whole, including the library and the law department and other philanthropy. But yeah, he's looking for a return on his investment. He's not quite getting it. And if I am Phil Knight, I'd be frustrated with what I saw on the field. I also know that as it pertains to the matchups, look, Oregon has not been a great second half team, third quarter team under Dan Lanning. And I think a lot of this is that Lanning's winning football games and Oregon's winning football games during the recruiting period, right? They're out recruiting people. And I do think he has an opportunity here with Tosh Lapoya as D coordinator leaving and Will Stein as offensive coordinator leading. I think Dan Lanning needs some coaches. I think he needs some guys. I've long believed that since he was hired, that they hired the greatest recruiters. They are fantastic recruiters, but they need some guys who can coach. They need some guys with gray hair who can coach these players. Oregon's got plenty of talent, but I'm struggling to find a lot of cases where Oregon isn't favored and they win a game. Like, they come into most of these games as the favorite and they do what they should do because they've got better players. It's a lot like watching a really good club program in youth sports. And you go, this game was determined when the club assembled the roster months ago. It didn't have to do as much with coaching. And so I think that Oregon was up against an Indiana team that was older and probably deeper and just as good, if not better. And I think the coaching staff at Indiana did a better job.
It is amazing, though, the talking points and narrative that comes out of it, though. Is Dan Lanning the right guy for Oregon? Can't win the big game. I mean, this is his resume. And this goes back to when I think in a society now, especially when it comes to sports, if you're not winning every year, you're failing. Yeah. And it's just amazing to me that people don't appreciate just winning. The Baltimore Ravens didn't appreciate winning, so they let their coach walk out the door, and now he's going to go and coach somebody else to the playoffs for like every single year. But he's 48-8 since being named the head coach. They're 3-2 in the Bowls. They're 2-2 in the college football playoff. And their 2 losses are going to be to the eventual national champion, and who are the clear-cut best teams in college football. He's got a Big Ten championship under his belt. He's 2 years in the Big Ten. It's 2 years when everybody else that's come over from there, USC, Washington, UCLA, have all kind of, they've been middle of the pack. They're 17-1.
Yeah, you got to look at it and ask yourself, like, is there trajectory there at Oregon? There's absolutely trajectory. Dan Lanning's done a great job. He inherited a program that in its previous 3 coaches, Mark Helfrich, Willie Taggart, Mario Cristobal, there were a lot of questions about, was Oregon a stepping stone job? Look at, Taggart and Cristobal both used it to get to other schools.
Sure.
And Helfrich failed, despite all the resources and a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and starting in the national championship game, he failed. And so Lanning wins 10 games in that first season. His second season, he's at 12. Then he's at 13 in a conference championship. Now in the 1 seed in the playoff. Now he wins playoff games, multiple playoff games, including a shutout of Texas Tech. And people suddenly are saying this is not good enough. Dare I remind the Oregon fan that you can go back, to not so long ago, Oregon was playing in an Autzen Stadium that was empty and playing for a Holiday Bowl maybe, or an Alamo Bowl. And so let's not forget where the program came from. I think they're on the right track. Yeah. They were there a year early. And I think, had they been on the other side of the bracket, oddly, maybe they would have been better off, because I think Indiana's the best team. All right.
What's the word on Dante Moore?
Yeah, I think most people expect that he's going to come back. This whole Dylan Raiola thing was interesting, as the Nebraska quarterback who's transferred a bazillion times since 8th grade is, headed to Eugene. He's picked Eugene, but he looks like, he's going to sit out a year. And Dante Moore's 20. The performance he had against Indiana screamed, come back to school, make $4 or $5 million, grow a little bit, get a little older. But you've got people whispering in his ear that the NFL, it's a weak draft for quarterbacks. You have a chance to go higher than you might in a year. I think if the right people get in Dante Moore's ear, he comes back. That it was such an indictment of his development. What happened? Indiana just made him look bad. He looked shaky in both those Indiana games. He fumbled twice, threw an interception. He needs to come back. And if he can't see that, bless him, he's going to go to the NFL and he's going to face plant. So I think if you're Dante Moore, you come back, you make $4 or $5 million, you stay in school.
What I don't understand about the Raiola decision, for people who don't know, he's the Nebraska quarterback that basically he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. He does everything Patrick Mahomes like. He was I believe the number 1 or top 3, whatever, sought after quarterbacks on the transfer portal. Why would you go to a place then to sit out a year?
Well, I think he's watched what happened with Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel and now Dante Moore, and he's going, gosh, maybe the best thing for me, because of his, maybe it's his as close to self-awareness as you can get for a player who's been coveted and chased and told how great he was before he was really great. Maybe it's the message that, he and his camp are listening to, like, hey, look what Oregon did to Dante Moore. They now have him positioned as, one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. Here, Dylan Gabriel, Bo Nix, great example. This is the path, because the alternative for Dylan Raiola is to go somewhere else and continue to struggle. So this is a step back, I think, for him. I think it's a good move. I don't know that he's going to, eventually play at Oregon, but they're apparently, looking for some depth and looking to fortify things. And I thought the fact that so many of the backup quarterbacks at Oregon and all the transfer portal activity at Oregon seemed to be with mostly second string players, I thought that sort of spoke to the return of Dante Moore as well.
Well, it's a perfect fit when we talk about teams and individuals that are brand focused. It's just a perfect fit.
Yeah.
I mean, because that kid, I don't know. I wouldn't want him on my team. I just wouldn't. I don't think he's about the team. I think he's about himself. I think he's about wanting to be Patrick Mahomes too. And we'll see. Maybe he's shifted and said, all right, I'm going to put more focus on the team and Oregon gives me the best pass. But, we'll see. We'll see how that does.
Or someone's in his ear going, hey, this isn't working. What you're doing isn't working. And by the way, you're probably going to make a couple $1 million to go sit on the bench.
Yeah. What did you make of the Damon Williams roller coaster saga? I can't keep up with it, so I can't remember. Last week he was gone or not gone? No, I don't think he had left yet, right? When we last spoke.
We hadn't talked about it. Well, this is the first time we've really talked about it.
All right, well,
the hokey pokey. You want to talk about the hokey pokey?
Yeah.
He's 1 foot in, he's 1 foot out. Look, he needs a PR team. He needs crisis management. There needs to be an intervention here.
I can help.
The Puck PR team, because, he's got a couple problems here. One, he's got a problem with his coaching staff in his own locker room that is going to be really interesting to watch play out. I'm curious to see how the lack of loyalty and awareness plays in that locker room. Once you've done that, people don't forget. Even if you're successful, they're not going to forget that he did that. Then you've got sort of the public issue. And I think people were justified in being upset at him. The way he handled it, it was Bush League. But he needs a PR firm to tell him. He needs to come out. He needs to be on your show. He needs to be talking about, hey, I screwed up. I listened to some of the wrong people. I know it looks really bad. I'm growing. Because what we say things like, hey, you're supposed to go to college to make mistakes, to grow, have growth moments, to learn. This whole idea of higher education is rooted in the principle of like, hey, these are young people with not fully developed brains. I think if Damon Williams can kind of lean that way and go, look, I made mistakes. Maybe you can relate to being 20 or 21 years old and listening to some of the wrong people. I think that there'll be a lot more empathy in the public for that message versus the whole, I wanted to explore my options messaging. But he needs some definite PR help, because anything he can do in that realm right now is going to help him, because what he's going to find out is this off season is going to be terribly long for him. There's no opportunity for him to get on the field right now and throw 3 touchdown passes and make people love him again. That will come, but I think he needs to do some talking right now.
But something needs to change with the sport. I mean, he signed a contract. Obviously, the language in the contract that was signed through kind of how the Big Ten puts it out, right, was just going to be, hey, I mean, here's the thing. He could have gone if he wanted to. All LSU had to do, and this is the simplest explanation, LSU just did not want to pay the University of Washington $4.5 million and then at the same time have to turn around and pay him $6 million. They were like, you're not worth $10 million to us. You are worth 5 or 6, but not 10. That's the only reason he's still at Washington, is because I see Husky fans are on social media. See, we changed college football. We stood up to them. No, you didn't. It was LSU that did it. You want to give credit to LSU, because LSU is the one that said, we're not going to do that. We tried to get him. Then we realized that the language was not going to be that easy, and we're not going to buy him out, because all they had to do was buy him out. Yeah. And then he's going to be at LSU, but they didn't feel that he was worth that amount of money. But the problem is I just saw it today, and I think this is the second known coach, right, that Oregon State has lost in a week. Now, I don't know if this guy signed a contract, but this is where I have an issue with it. So this guy, Lance Guidry, was hired by Jamarcus Shepard as new defensive coordinator. Maybe he signed the deal, maybe he didn't, but he was hired 6 days ago. Well, he's already left to go take a new job at Memphis. My point is this. These kids learn commitment and loyalty and their word from the adults.
Yeah. Because
these guys show none of it.
Well, and I'm thinking Dennis Erickson is seeing that and going, wait a minute, like I could have done that. Like, But I mean, here's the thing. Coaches have been doing this for a long time. And now the players, it's sort of like watching the NBA. Everybody knows that the NBA is driven by the agents and the players. That's who's running the NBA. College football is being run now by players and to some extent high profile coaches who can bounce around. If you can recruit, you can find a spot. And it's always why I look at things. I even looked at like Dylan Raiola picking Oregon, and I thought, well, who's coming with him? Is there a coach? Is there a quarterback's coach coming? Is there a coordinator coming? It was just my first thought because these deals are often package deals. So, Washington State and Oregon State are in a predicament along with everybody else in the group of 6 in that you truly are stepping stone jobs. They're going to have to be very careful when they offer jobs about including contracts and getting signatures because this is the way of the new world. And I think it's not going to be the last. And I think you're going to see more of this until college athletics gets a commissioner and says, hey, we're going to collectively bargain. We're going to unionize the athletes. We need to get free agency under control. This is the system. This is a byproduct of the chaos.
Yeah, I dislike all of it. I dislike the messaging that is sent to young people by adults that you can just bail anytime you want.
Terrible.
I mean, I just think this Jaden Lamar story is just, and again, I'm going to say this, and people are, you're only saying this because he's going to the Huskies. If he was one of the Cougars, you wouldn't say this, and you're probably right. This guy Jaden Lamar is a 4 or 5 star recruit out of Lake Stevens. I've seen this kid play. He's unbelievable. Was in high school. Goes to Oregon. Doesn't have the career yet that probably was expected at Oregon, but whatever. He's getting on the field. Yeah. He's contributing in special teams. Oregon has injuries everywhere with their running backs. Everywhere. This kid enters the portal 4 days before the semifinals and says, no, I'd rather, and then doesn't just enter the portal, leaves.
Yeah.
Not even on the team. Meanwhile, his team is fighting for the college football playoffs, and Jaden Lamar decided, no, I'd rather not help my team, despite them being down to 2 healthy running backs. I want to hit the portal and leave, and he went to Washington. I just can't stand that stuff. And the fact that parents allow that to happen, adults, just awful. What message are you sending?
Yeah. I think in your household, you've got to decide where you stand on kids quitting anything in the middle. We don't allow it. I don't like it. I don't care if you're playing the clarinet and you're bad at it and you hate it. You see it through, then we move on and we do something else. But that's not how people are thinking right now. And let's broader picture, Puck. It's not how universities are thinking. Hey, we have to do what's best for us. We need to leave and go to another conference. Forget the history and legacy and our sister school. We have to go do what's best for us. And the conference is all saying, well, we have to do what's best for us. It goes right down the food chain to everybody just looking around and going, well, I got to do what's right for me.
Yeah, it's just, I saw that story, especially with all the running back issues that they had. I just shook my head. All right, you sat down. I watched it this morning. Elizabeth Cantwell, he sat down with her 36 plus minutes. Some of the things that stood out to me, you wrote about it also at johncanzano.com. I'm going to start with this. When her comment that 50% of her time is spent on athletics, just think about how much that probably has changed in the last 10 to 15 years of a college president. They probably back then spent, I don't know, 1% of the time thinking about athletics. That's the AD's job, not my job. Yeah, and I thought that was eye-opening that she said 50% of her mental space is spent on athletics.
Yeah, and look, consider too that she's bright. Like, I'm the dummy in that conversation, right? She's got an MBA, she's got a doctorate, she's had a badge to get into the NASA offices, the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory. She's an engineer. I'm asking the questions, but the fact that she sort of acknowledged that half of her time as a university president is spent on athletics. It's probably not shocking to the rest of us, but it's eye-opening to me that she'll come out and say that, because there was a day not that long ago where university presidents were hesitant to say that they were doing anything in athletics for fear of backlash from other corners of the campus. But I think that now we've sort of, crossed that line of delineation, and she's saying, hey, this is good for our brand. It's good for fundraising. It's good for enrollment. And, we got to talk about it. And I remember when she was hired, I talked to some of the trustees at Washington State when they were looking to hire her. They were concerned about enrollment. They were concerned about the impact of athletics on enrollment. And so they went out and found a university president who understands that athletics drive enrollment.
Of course, it's the window into the university athletics. Yeah, I thought that stood out to me. Her comment about John Harlow said that his role and his impact on the school, she said, we can't lose him. Yeah. That doesn't mean he's going to be the permanent athletic director. If he's not that, what role do you think he'll have?
I actually that part of the interview I thought was really telling because, and I'll give her some credit. Like, this wasn't the normal university president who's being sort of off-putting and talking around the subjects. She even spoke a couple of times and admitted, she said, I don't really have all the information on this, but here's kind of my layman's opinion about what's going on. And she would give an opinion. Like, I think, there was a little risk taking there. I felt like after that interview that we might as well remove the interim tag from John Harlow. I think she really likes what he's doing. I think she liked where they ended up on the football hire. And if I'm Kirby Moore, I think a big part of my security is looking over and going, all right, the AD who conducted the search that brought me in is still here. Everybody knows as soon as the AD leaves, the head football coach is going, uh-oh.
Sure.
So I think Harlow's going to probably eventually get that job. I think she was signaling that in a number of ways, and I think she liked what he did in that process.
We got a decision coming up here shortly, right, of what the decision or what the future of the college football playoffs are going to look at. There are new reports coming out today. This could go anywhere from 16 now to 24. There seems to be support for 24. And my question is this: why is it just though that the SEC and the Big Ten get to decide this? Why is it only those two conferences?
Yeah, everybody's looking at them and going, well, the problem is if a decision is made that they don't like, they could take their ball and go home, right? But Mike Oresco, the former commissioner of the American, told me once upon a time, he says he felt like the conference commissioners should call that bluff, that he thinks there would be pushback, there would be congressional intervention, there would be lawsuits if they tried to split away and do their own thing. And so darn well if they go to 16 or 24 that those extra berths are all going to SEC and Big Ten teams. They're going to fashion it in a way that is favorable to those two conferences. Just like with the NCAA tournament, they want a bigger piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. They don't see the group of five or even the Big 12 of the ACC adding much value. I even think that the SEC could be looking over at the ACC right now a little differently, given that the SEC has had some problems competing in the CFP. They're not in the final for the third straight year. Might they look over and go, hey, we want Clemson, we want Miami, and try to pick off the best schools? As if there's an expanding playoff, why wouldn't they? There's money in that. So, January 23rd is the big date. That executive committee of the college football playoff will meet. They'll either decide to stay at 12, keep it status quo, which Notre Dame is probably rooting for, because in that deal, Notre Dame gets an automatic berth if it's in the top 12 teams.
Which is ridiculous. If they expand to 16 or 24, Notre Dame's got to renegotiate. So keep an eye on that as a potential breaking point or maybe some pushback. I think Notre Dame would be like, hey, no, we're good at 12 because we know we can get in every year if we just schedule right. But I think they'll go to 16. I think there'll be no first-round buys. I think there'll be some concessions made. I think the group of five will probably still get only one conference champion, the highest ranked champion. Otherwise, you got to get an at-large berth, and I'm fine with that. I think it gives you enough access, but I think it's expanding. I think there's just a lot. Even Elizabeth Cantwell, she's sitting here in the Pac-12, and she's like, hey, more teams is better. Yeah. And I think, the objective there would be to get another Pac-12 team in that top 16. I'm all for 24. There's a little division that's been doing it for years, and they're massively successful at it, the FCS, and they have no problems with it. And I just don't know why. They just don't look down there and go, oh, there's the model. Let's just do that. It's real
home games for the high seeds until you get to the championship. It makes sense.
Hard. God, it's just the FCS has been doing it forever, and it makes such sense. And then the FBS looks at it like, oh no, we're going to do it more difficult. We're gonna make it harder. It's just ridiculous.
And then tied in this, Puck, is the bowl affiliations too, because all of the bowl agreements in every conference are all expiring here after the CFP game. So everybody's got to start over. And so I think some of those bowl games are really nervous that, hey, if they expand to 16 or 24, does that mean our bowl game is in trouble because now you're even more marginalized? Or can you be part of this system? There's a lot of that to be sorted out.
Well, I would just, for the new Pac-12 and Teresa Gould, I would make sure that I would get two without a doubt, right? Because the Rose Bowl is just going to be a part of the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I would just get the Holiday Bowl and the Alamo Bowl and say, all right, that's it. I mean, and then others, but those would be the two primary ones.
I like the Vegas Bowl too. Maybe,
Vegas Bowl too. Yeah,
if you could go. Puck likes Vegas.
Oh, everybody likes Vegas. Who doesn't? I like you too. All right, JohnCanzano.com, YouTube page, John Canzano. You can go watch his interview with Elizabeth Cantwell and a bunch of other videos that are up there. He did a live show from Atlanta, the college football playoffs. That was great. He's got another Canzano Wilner podcast coming out this week. The man stays busy. He's never taking a rest until now. See you, John. There he is, John Canzano from johncanzano.com. His weekly appearance brought to you by Flat Stick Pub, which is a great place, date night, ladies night, anything and everything over there at flatstickpub.com. We switch gears to the NFL. Our NFL coverage now is all brought to you by Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
And ladies and gentlemen, Stranger Things to Danny Kelly and The Ringer. That's right. Danny Kelly is a big superstar. Folks, I don't know how much longer we'll have with Danny before the executive producers at Ozark will snatch up Danny Kelly to write and pilot a new TV show, or people at Peaky Blinders, but he's in the same family now as Jason Bateman. Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Kelly is a coworker. In fact, he's been invited to the Netflix Christmas party next year. Senior staff writer, Ringer Fantasy Football Show, Ringer NFL Draft Show, which you can now watch all of it on Netflix. I did it this morning. It looks so good. Did they give you guys new cameras now?
They did. They did, in fact.
Jesus, they're unbelievable.
4K, baby.
Yeah.
I think I'm like the last person that needs a 4K camera, but
I didn't want to say it. I wanted you to say it, but
yeah. They say the camera adds 10 pounds or whatever. What is a 4K camera? Is that
I thought you guys looked great. It was just really cool to flip on Netflix and then there you are.
It's very surreal. Very surreal.
We started this thing at fieldgoals.com. You were there, and Scott Inyart was I think, I don't know if Scott was doing stuff for Field Goals or not.
He was doing a little bit, and then we did the podcast together. Yeah.
And then the three of us got together, I don't know, like 15 years ago, and said, let's talk Seahawks once a week.
Yeah.
And look at you. You've gone from fieldgoals.com now to the Ringer. You've been the Ringer for a while. You're on Netflix. Think about that first. Which Netflix, was Netflix even a thing then? Yeah.
Netflix has been around since like the early 2000s, I want to say, but that was when they were doing DVDs. Do you remember?
That's when you were getting shipped to your house, right?
Yeah.
I say this, congratulations. Good things happen to good people, Danny Kelly, and you're a good person, good egg, and it's surreal to see you now on Netflix.
It is very surreal. I will admit that. It's like I showed my son last night. I was like, "Hey, you want to see something?" And he was like, "What?
Yeah.
How are you on there?" And then he's like, "Can I watch my show now?"
Yeah.
He was excited for literally 3 seconds, and then he moved on.
Yeah. I just can't wait till we get to the top 10 TV shows in the U.S. today, and you're going to be right there with His and Hers and Kill Tony.
What is the Netflix show that you would most want to be on as an extra right now?
Right now?
For me, I think Peaky Blinders would be my dream. They're making a new one.
Yeah. Well, aren't they making a movie?
They're making a movie, and then I want to say they're making a new like offshoot series, but I could be wrong.
I need to go and watch. I gave up on it. Like it went that weird period where it stopped for it stopped forever.
That was the pandemic.
He was off making movies, and then I remember the scene. I think I stopped it when they had all the issues at the racetrack. And then he was like left out in the middle of nowhere, like on the payphone, if you remember that. And then I haven't picked up it since then. I need to go back.
Oh man, you're missing
I know. I've
more
missed
than half the story, pal.
I know. Didn't they go to the US then?
They go to Canada. They start importing into Boston. There's this whole storyline with Jack Kennedy, I want to say, Jack
Kennedy makes an appearance.
He's the Kennedy father or whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
he
know
was he was involved there. They don't call him that in the show, but it's like kind of acknowledged that he's supposed to be like based on like the Kennedy patriarch.
And he had mob ties, of course.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a lot going on. It's I've always called it kind of the really serious, violent version of Forrest Gump, where Tommy Shelby is like involved in every world event from like from World War I until World War II, basically, because then they talk about like the fascist party in Britain in the run up to World War II, like all this stuff. Does
Tom Hardy come back?
Yes. Well, spoiler alert. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I just haven't
watched it, but yeah.
Well, it's great because with him, you had to put on the subtitles.
Oh, you cannot understand a word he says.
Nothing.
Absolutely
nothing.
He's a great character.
Oh,
Solomon.
What is Solomon? Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's that. All right. I Peaky Blinders. A close second would be maybe an extra. Be like a fashion designer in Emily in Paris.
Totally, 100%. 100%. I'm trying to remember some of the other like Netflix branded reality shows that I could actually be on where like I like
reality. I don't know the reality ones. I just know
I don't watch them.
Ozark was a good one. I mean, I can look at the shows. Stranger Things, obviously.
Squid Game.
Yeah. Outer Banks.
There we go. Now we're talking.
How about it?
Teen drama?
Yeah. How about a role in Outer Banks? So you could be with what's her name? Sarah Cameron. Yes, you could be.
I don't know who that is.
She's like the main character.
Okay.
Yeah. House of Cards. Minus Kevin Spacey.
We don't really talk about that one,
but just minus Kevin Spacey. Right.
Correct.
I think if you don't have to be in
Robin Wright Penn, or I guess Robin Wright now.
How about Tires? You ever watch that one with Shane Gillis?
I have watched that a couple times. It's funny.
That's a really good one. All right. Netflix star Danny Kelly is here to wow us with all his football fodder. I was watching, and I do love, I don't think this, maybe this is new. Is the Fart or Shart a new segment?
No, that's been going on for a while, but we thought it was important that we kept it going once we got on Netflix.
Yeah, that was a great. The Fart or Shart was wonderful.
It's a statement segment. We're not changing.
Good. Don't change. I mean, you got all these Netflix producers are going to ask you to do different stuff. Go watch the latest one that's on as they are wrapping up the all the playoff action right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Danny Kelly, and I don't even know if he remembers. And he like subconsciously did this because it's ingrained in the back of his head. He made a reference, an old reference. Do you even know what I'm talking about on this last week's show? You made a reference that comes back to this show.
What was it? Now I can't remember. Oh yeah, I did.
You did.
I thought of you for that.
You said, I can't remember. You put somebody on the barge. You're like, maybe it was Matt LaFleur. You're like, somebody. He's got to go on the barge and get him out of town. And I'm like, the barge. Danny remembers.
You did the Leo DiCaprio meme. Whoa.
Yep, yeah. Whoa. Yeah, you referenced the barge. You guys can have it. You guys can.
I thought of it
if you want. But let's wrap up the wild card action. What was the biggest surprise from the wild card weekend, in your opinion?
Biggest surprise. Well, I can't say anything was too surprising, Puckett, because I got literally every one of my picks right. I went.
You thought the Bears would knock off the Packers?
I did think the Bears were going to win. I picked the 49ers to beat the Eagles. I picked the Texans to beat the Steelers. Not that that was an upset, really, but and I picked the Bills to beat the Jags. Trying to think of what.
Well, let's unpack the Niners for a second. Yeah. Why did you think the Niners would go into Philadelphia and win?
I think the Niners, because of the way that they played against the Seahawks in that one final game, Seahawks versus Niners, that kind of determined the seeding of the playoffs. I think people were just like looking at that and not realizing how good the Niners had been like the month prior to that, where they were scoring like 40 points a game, really, really good offense. They were making things happen on defense, even though their defense wasn't really all that good. And then, I just looked across at the Eagles. I'm like, man, this offense stinks. The vibes are horrific. It's a very good defense, but I just thought the 49ers could do enough against that defense. And then, with the Eagles offense not really having any identity, not really having much rhythm, I just thought they'd be able to pull it off. And sure enough, they did. I think people just overlooked how good the 49ers had been prior to that Seahawks game. So that's kind of why I went with that.
And people are going to yell at me, especially in this town. I'm sorry. You're going to probably want me to turn in my Seahawks card. You know what? An F you if you want me to. I don't care. If I had a vote, I would vote Kyle Shanahan the coach of the year.
I think he's up there. He wouldn't be my coach of the year, but he's up there. I still think Vrabel or even Mike McDonald or McDonald. I always get McDaniel. Can you imagine if McDaniel comes to Seattle?
And how about that? There's a shot they could if he wants to be a coordinator. And if Kubiak takes a different job, we got coked out McDaniel on the sidelines in Seattle. I'll just tell you, McDaniel, the coke isn't good here. Not like Miami, and you can't wear the joggers here.
Yeah, they're stepping on it 3 or 4 times before it gets out to the Pacific Northwest.
Joggers aren't going to work here, bud.
Yeah, I was wondering if he became a Seahawks coach or just a coach of any other team, does he kind of change his look? Because he's kind of got like the Miami like gradient shades going on.
He has to change his look. He can't do that here.
To keep it,
he's gonna have to go, some corduroys and some, Birkenstocks on the sideline. Yeah, some Patagonia and flannel.
Yeah. But what were we talking about? Oh, for coach of the year. I think he certainly is in the discussion because of what they've able to do with all the injuries. Like they are straight up dead last in terms of most games lost to injury. They lost their starting quarterback for like a full month and a half or whatever it was. They lost their 2 best players on defense, and they're still just chugging along. I mean, they had a chance, like we talked about, to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. They knocked off the defending champion Eagles. I don't know. I think he's certainly in the discussion. And that's why I've always feared and respected him in the 49ers.
That's why I fear him this weekend. I know what happened in week 18. I know how they dominated, and I get it. And Dugar had a great piece this week in The Athletic. I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but the last 5 meetings that McDonald has faced Shanahan, this carries over to Baltimore. I mean, his defense is dominated. They're giving up like 18 points a game. And the starters have only scored more than 17 once.
That's good to hear. Good to
hear. McDonald has his number. Now, can the Seahawks offense give him more than they did last game? We would hope so. But on the flip side, right, I got to feel that Shanahan and that crew is going to look at week 18 and they're going to have a lot of adjustments and throw something different at Seattle that maybe they never see before.
I think the other isn't the big difference here that Trent Williams is going to be playing against at left tackle instead of like last time where he was out, I believe, in that game. So that's like
Pearsall was out too.
If you look at, I don't have the stats in front of me, the splits in front of me, but it's dramatic, like really dramatic what the 49ers record is with Trent Williams versus not with Trent Williams. Like it's one of the starkest things you can imagine. They it's like 800 win percentage to like a 300 win percentage when he's not playing. So, I think that's obviously a huge key and being able to kind of deal with that. But I mean, the Seahawks are going to be, they're favored. I think they are considered the better team. We just saw what they did the last time they played, but this is a rubber match between 2 division teams. Like anything can happen in a division game. I've always kind of felt that way. Division games have a tendency to get weird. And then when you add in the playoff atmosphere, every play matters, man. Like every turnover matters. Every decision on whether to go for it or punt or kick or whatever matters. So the playoffs are where things get really weird. And I think, I expect this will probably be a pretty close game and kind of a back and forth game.
Well, according to AI and Gemini, Trent Williams in the last 2 years, right? 24-25, they are 1-6 in games missed by Trent Williams.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, he's going to be
significantly worse without him.
Sure. And I don't know if they've given as of yet, if they've given a significant declaration of whether or not he's going to play or not, but I assume he's going to play. I think all signs were pointing towards both of those guys playing this weekend. And we just got to hope, but hey, I think from Seattle's perspective, Danny's just got to be, let's just play the same game we played last time. Yep. If we play that way, and we're going to bank on Jason Myers not missing 2 field goals. And
they're going to outlast them. I think they can outlast them.
Yeah.
They can shut down the offense, and then they can do enough they can shut down the 49ers offense, and they can do enough on their offensive side of the ball where they can kind of just outlast them slowly, kind of take over the game. As it's basically like very similar, I think, to what we saw last night with the Texans, kind of just slowly draining the life out of the Steelers. Obviously, the Steelers offense is not nearly as good as the 49ers offense, but I think that's where this is going to be. The Seahawks defense is going to be the big star of the show, and hopefully they can kind of keep playing the way that they've been playing, because they've been absolutely shutting people down.
Yeah. Well, how do you think that game shakes out?
I mean, I would pick the Seahawks in it, but I think it's going to be a close one probably. I think the 49ers are probably going to do quite a bit more than they did on offense last week, or when they played last time, I should say. I don't think I can expect, like we talked about this, it was literally the worst game in the Shanahan era of what their offense did in that game. I don't think we can expect that again, especially with Trent Williams back. So, I think it'll be a close game, but I would pick the Seahawks in it. I just think their defense is better, and their offense is, good enough to get the job done. They're at home. The vibes are good. 49ers are just so beat up. The 49ers defense is not good. If the Seahawks can execute just even marginally better on offense than what they did in this last game, I think they'll be fine.
I brought this up to Dugar. I think the one thing, they don't do this a lot, but if I were Robert Saleh, and like he's going to take some advice of some portly 50-year-old in Seattle, this is what I think you should do, Mr. Saleh.
Yeah.
I'd blitz the shit out of him. That's what I would.
Make Darnold make some mistakes.
Yeah, I'd blitz him nonstop. And they don't do it a lot, but I would. What do we have to lose? No one expected us to be here anyways with all the injuries. I'd cover zero all out all the time.
YOLO.
That's all I would do. It'd be like, if we get beat on a play, fine, but we also think that maybe because he will kind of crumble at times under immense pressure, he'll throw us a gift pick, and maybe that changes the game. What about at Soldier Field, Chicago? Caleb Williams, the painted fingernails, crazy Ben Johnson.
The Iceman.
The Iceman.
They're calling him the Iceman. Have you seen this?
He's got his mouthpiece that he never puts in, but he always dangles to the side of his, the corner of his mouth.
Like Steph Curry-esque. Yeah.
It's just, I love watching the Bears play. I'm a huge Caleb Williams fan. Huge.
Yeah.
I think he was sensational at USC. I thought he got shit on a lot by a lot of people. And I remember when people, and I know dissect the draft and you cover the draft as good as anyone, when they were saying, I can't remember which game he lost at USC, but he went over and hugged his mom and he was crying, and people like, I don't think you could take this guy because he clearly is not emotionally stable, and he cried. Who fucking cares that he cried? He just lost the game. What's wrong with people?
He's definitely not the first player to have cried after a game, but crying in your mom's arms, I guess, was maybe not what they were looking for.
Okay, well, what's the difference? Did you watch when Ole Miss lost? Trinidad Chambliss went over and cried in his coach's arms. His coach from Ferris High School or Ferris State.
I look, Caleb Williams was my number one player coming into that draft.
He was phenomenal.
I could look past some of the concerns. To me, like, it was never the crying thing that didn't really bother me. It was more just like, how volatile is he going to be, as a leader, because he's kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve. And then you saw some of that as a rookie. He's
kind of aloof too. He's
aloof. He's a little bit like, he's just a different dude. And so I think it's there was certainly concerns about like what kind of leader he's going to be, how the team's going to react to him. And then in year one, obviously, like, everything went to shit. Like, they were awful. They couldn't run plays correctly. They couldn't get lined up. Obviously, some of that was on the coaching staff and some of that was on Caleb Williams. His body language was horrific for most of the season. So I think you got to give credit to Ben Johnson. And this is why it's so important for a young quarterback, any young quarterback.
Yes.
One of the, like, Caleb Williams was considered a generational prospect in terms of talent. And I think he's shown that. But any young quarterback, almost any young quarterback, is going to need like a stabilizing force in their life in terms of going from college to the pros. The pros are really, really hard. And there's just a million things to learn. There's a million missing moving pieces, and just all the things you have to do just before even the ball is snapped is like, you got, like, just the reps matter. So getting a stabilizing force like Ben Johnson to come in, it seems like they, obviously winning cures all, and they've gotten lucky in a few instances in terms of like what they've done in late game turnarounds. And I think they've won like 8 games that have come down to like the final drive or whatever. It's like, something crazy is going on. Like, maybe this is because the Pope is a Chicago fan or whatever, but I think, just having Ben Johnson be there, he's He's gotten the run game going. He seems like a calming force on the sideline. Like he's not a blow up type of coach, like overly.
He saves that for after.
Saves that for Matt LaFleur and Matt LaFleur only. For some reason, he's really intent on bullying Matt LaFleur.
Do you know why?
It has,
what is it between
his
Johnson
girlfriend
and
in middle
LaFleur?
school? I don't know.
Here's
my theory is that. Well, I don't know. It's a good question. My theory right now, and it'd be fun to talk to him about it, but like Ben Johnson kind of like understood the assignment that like this is a huge rivalry with the Packers. The Packers look at the Bears like they're their little brother or worse. Like, they just have no respect. The old Aaron Rodgers thing, like I own the Bears, blah, blah, blah. And I think he saw an opportunity to like fight back, punch back, be like the up and comers. So like he's like really leaned into this rivalry, and kind of like hoping that his team. Well, to me, it's like it's similar if you go back to like the Pete Carroll era with Jim Harbaugh 49ers, where the 49ers, and they might still think this and whatever, but like they think that they're the big brother of the Seahawks. They got like their rings and all that stuff, but like. You got to do something to kind of shake that and earn respect. And I think that's kind of like what Ben Johnson's plan has been, is like basically like we're gonna fucking punch back. And he's like gone into this thing like he's like not holding back. He's leaning in really hard. Like he even said in his press conference after the game, like after he had time to think about it, like I hate the Bears. I hate the Packers. I hate this organization. So the antics of the post game like handshakes and all that stuff is pretty funny. But yeah, I think it's an intentional thing to rally the team and give them belief in this rivalry and like whatever. So it's another kind of like maybe genius type of strategy from Ben Johnson. I kind of love it.
Well, rivalries are great, and what makes sports so much fun, and that's a great one, and it has been for many years, and it's just taken on a life of its own now. I wonder if it continues, if LaFleur leaves, if they decide to move on. If you were Green Bay right now, would you bring back Matt LaFleur or bring in John Harbaugh?
LaFleur.
Okay, you would keep him.
I would keep him.
Okay. I
think it's like so the big argument against LaFleur, I think, is like the game management stuff in the playoffs. And that's definitely a concern, and I think, but at the end of the day, like I think people can learn. We've seen this happen with a lot of different coaches over the years. Like Andy Reid was notorious for his late game mishaps and mismanagement of timeouts. Pete Carroll over the years, and I think it is like one of those things. It's like a quarterback. It's like you learn from your experiences and you get better as you go along. That's not to say he's guaranteed to get better, but like when you think about everything else LaFleur does to raise the floor and raise the ceiling of the organization, I mean, he's legitimately got a better win percentage right now than Sean McVay. He's got a better win percentage than some of the best he's 16th all time in win percentage as a head coach, and he's ahead of guys like Sean Payton. Like I said, Sean McVay. The proof in the pudding of the playoff victories is kind of like what is just like missing right now. But I don't know. I think he's a really good coach. I think you'd be overreacting. And what else could you bring in that's better? Like, it's not like John Harbaugh has proven himself to be a better playoff performer over the years. He does have one Super Bowl. Yeah. But I don't know. That was like mainly Flacco just going unconscious for 4 straight games or whatever, and kind of helping that way.
So when we sit back here a week from today, if you'll still have us, if Netflix allows you, if you're doing maybe a side acting piece on the Hunting Wives.
Right.
Have you watched The Hunting Wives?
I have not. I've heard of it.
Go watch that one.
Okay.
Give that one a whirl.
Sure.
We're going to be talking about who in the AFC and NFC championship game.
I think you want me to give my prediction? I'll just go. I'll go with my pre-playoff predictions and kind of keep with it. I think it's going to be Seahawks Rams.
Okay.
And then I think it's going to be Bills Texans.
Okay.
So we got. Sorry, hold on. Did I do that right? So Texans are playing Patriots. Bills are playing.
You got it right.
Who are the Bills? Who are the Bills?
Bills play the Broncos.
Broncos. Right.
Yeah, I like it. Listen, if there's one team I'm going to root for, if Seattle doesn't win the whole thing, is the Bills.
Yep.
I want to see Josh Allen get it done. And I want to see the fan base win it. I do.
Yeah.
They've been through a lot. No fan base deserves going to that damn game 4 straight times and losing.
I know. I'm kind of, I'm sort of just into the whole like narrative thing of this is the year for Josh because, you got Mahomes, you got Lamar, you got Burrow all out. This is the year when he does his superhero impression and kind of just carries this very flawed Bills team all the way. So I'm kind of like buying into that narrative, but like, man, Josh Allen is just on a different level.
Well, he would be the one guy if the Seahawks can get through the Niners and then whoever they play in the NFC Championship game, likely the Rams. He would be the one team, one player that I would fear the most coming out of the AFC.
Yeah.
Not because they're the most complete team. It's just because of him. Because he would be the X factor.
Yeah. 100%.
He could go off in the Super Bowl. They haven't played a quarterback like him. A guy that is as mobile as he is, and just
he changes the math. He changes the arithmetic on how you defend that team because like they can run the ball. And this is like I was talking about this with the Jags. Like the Jags stopped the Bills' run game. The Bills this year were one of the best run teams in the NFL. James Cook was one of the best. He won the rushing title this year. Like this is a really elite run offense. And the Jags were able to shut that down, but Josh Allen, he's just the X factor. He's the guy who kind of can like make up for, if you have one part of your game plan completely fail, he can kind of come in and like lift everything else up. So yeah. And then obviously the Bills got 2 turnovers on defense. That was huge. So yeah, I agree with you though. He scares me. I think the Texans defense scares the crap out of me, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
They're just so good. We just saw that last night. They're just so good. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Is obviously like setting up a potential NFC Championship game with the Rams. That's exciting. NFC West, man.
It's done. I mean, it was. We knew it in the beginning of the year. Once the season started, it was the best division in football, and it's proved to be that. 3 of the last 4 teams remaining in the NFC coming from that division, and it was all year long. Continues to be in the playoffs, and that's a team like the Niners. That weren't even at full strength the entire year. Well, there he is. Danny Kelly shares the same spotlight at the Ringer with folks at Cobra Kai. Last Chance You.
Yeah.
Check out the new Sean Combs. Do you guys have to add hey, thank you guys for watching the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. Hey, be sure to check out Sean Combs' The Reckoning, now playing on Netflix. 4 episodes.
We're not required to, but we do because we really like that content.
Yeah, that's great.
It's great content.
Yeah. Get yourself a bottle of wine. Check us out next week on the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. But in between then, get yourself a bottle of wine and some alone time and check out The Hunting Wives on Netflix. Now streaming.
Oh, boy.
All right, Danny Kelly. Once again, congratulations. Real cool stuff, man. Really, really happy for you and your partners over there. Just really cool for you guys to be on Netflix. Got to be a big moment for you. So appreciate you carving out a little bit of time for us every single week to talk football. Thank you.
Absolutely. Love you, man.
All right. Thank you. There he is. Danny Kelly from the Ringer, senior staff writer, Ringer Fantasy Football Show, Ringer NFL Draft Show. Again, check it out on Spotify, all podcast platforms, but now you can check out all of their content and other Ringer content on Netflix. All right. On this day in the world of sports and just events, it's January 13th. Sports news, 1962. Philadelphia center Wilt Chamberlain scores 73 points. They were known as the Warriors at that time in a victory over Chicago, and their name were the Packers in the old NBA. 135-117. The 73 points at the time was the most points scored in NBA regulation. Now, later that season, though, he tops the 73. He would go on to score 100 points. You know, when people say they don't play defense anymore. No one plays defense anymore. Did they play defense back then? The final score as the Warriors beat the Knicks when Wilt scored 100 was 169-147. His final stat line that day, included 36 field goals, 28 of 32 from the free throw line. He also pulled down 25 rebounds. Wilt Chamberlain. We discussed this a lot. I never got to see him play, so I can't really discuss whether or not he was the greatest player of all time. But I do find it interesting when we do get in the discussion who the greatest player of all time in the NBA is. It has usually just come down to now it's just LeBron and Jordan, right? That's it. Wondering, for those who saw Wilt play, why isn't Wilt Chamberlain being mentioned more? I mean, you go and look at some of his box scores. It's incredible what he did back in the day. And his size and his athleticism would have played in any decade. All right, on this day, January 13th, 1999, we stick with the NBA. Michael Jordan, second retirement for MJ. Prior to the season, he steps away. Remember the first time he stepped away because of his father. The second time he steps away, it's after the 99 season or before the 99 season. He would return in 2001 with the Washington. Were they still the Bullets or were they the Wizards? I think they were the Wizards. He would go on to play 2 years with Washington after a 3-year layoff. Jordan, he came back at the age of 38. He averaged 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. He would play 2 more seasons before finally retiring for good, Michael Jordan, which is pretty incredible. Let's see. January 13th, 2020, Houston Astros manager A.J. Hinch and their general manager, Jeff Lonow, fired by their owner, Jim Crane, for their roles in the sign-stealing scandal after MLB suspends both for the year. Let's see. Marco Mira celebrating a birthday today, 69. 16 PGA Tour wins. He won the Masters and the Open Championship in the same year, 1998. He was voted the Player of the Year as well. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is 65 today. Of course, best known for her role as Elaine Bennis in Seinfeld. All of this happening on this day, January 13th. All right. We get to Hey, What the Puck, which is brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It is your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. They are locally owned and operated. Reach out to them at restoration1.com. We had something else planned, but we'll use this for Hey, What the Puck. Mike Tomlin, Ian Rappaport, just looking at Twitter first to come up with this, or reported, has informed the team today Mike Tomlin is stepping away from coaching. He's going to take a break. This was something that some had speculated that he was going to step down, maybe give TV a shot and see where he goes from there. But Mike Tomlin informing the team today that he will no longer be the head coach there of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's an amazing head coaching run with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe, well, is it only 3? Did it go Noel, Cowher, Tomlin? Am I right on that one? Am I missing someone between Noel and Tomlin? I'm going to look that up. Pittsburgh Steelers head coaching history, because I think that's what it is. I think that's the succession, right? Is Noel, then to Cowher, and then to Mike Tomlin, which is just kind of amazing. That's right. I mean, think about that. When Chuck Noll took over, it was 1969. And they had, since 1969, have had 3 head coaches. It's just remarkable. And here's the thing. Successful all the time. Obviously successful under Chuck Noll. They won, 4 championships, I believe. They win. Cowher gets 1. Tomlin gets 1. And that's the thing about the Steelers. No, do they win it every year? Was maybe the message getting stale with Mike Tomlin? Perhaps, but again, they just always won. Tomlin at the time when he was hired was 36 years old. He was the youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl. That's when he won the Super Bowl was when he was 36 years of age. He was hired in 2007. He had a career record of 193, 114. He was 8-12 there in the postseason. So if you add that up, 201, 126, and 2. So he spent the 2006 season as the Vikings defensive coordinator. He was interviewed for the coaching position with the 2005 Super Bowl champion Steelers with the only 1 year of experience as the defensive coordinator. He worked under Bill Cowher, and he just turned in to be one of the best head coaches that football has ever seen. And I think for a lot of people, I know myself, hey, if the Pete Carroll ever stepped down, could they go out and make a run there at Mike Tomlin? But just a hell of a career there for Mike Tomlin. You know, again, were they always the most talented team? Were they as good as they had been in the past? But they were 10-7 here the last 3 years with the same identical record. You look at his tenure and just going through it, I don't think he had one losing season. He had a couple seasons, three in which they were 8-8, but never a losing season. Remarkable. And in the playoffs every year except for, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Only 6 times that he missed the postseason. One of the best head coaches that the NFL has ever seen. Doesn't sound like he wants to coach right away, wants to take a break. But one of the good guys in the NFL, one of the good guys that leads an NFL team or any team as a head coach. Like when I look at Mike Tomlin and hear Mike Tomlin talk and watch him coach, he would be someone if he were in college. In fact, I think he would be great in college. Now, I think the old college, not the NIL world. I think that would drive him nuts. But I think being around young people, if this was the old rules of college football, I would say go to college. It just would be easier, and your message wouldn't get stale, which happens in the NFL when you spend so much time there. But influencing kids that were 18 to 22, he'd be great at it. But he would always be the type of guy that you would say, I hope my son or daughter, if he coached a women's sport, I would always hope my kid would play for someone like Mike Tomlin. Well, Godspeed there to Mike Tomlin. Whatever he does next in his career, if it's on TV, he's going to be great at it. Hopefully we'll see him back on the sideline at some point. That's Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Again, it's your restoration company that's going to let you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage. Reach out to them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. That's it for us here on a Tuesday. Thank you for watching and listening today. Thank you to all our sponsors, as always. Limback Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, Georgetown Brewery. Check out their new tavern beer at your local bar in georgetownbeer.com, and Restoration One. Today's Daily Puck Drop up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel when you are there. You can also hit that like button, leave a comment, try to get to as many as we possibly can. You can also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms and at pucksports.com. When you're there, sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. It's just $5 a month. It supports all the free content we do daily for you. In addition, we give you bonus shows every single week. New Sports Pit with Matt Stretch Johnson coming out later today. Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish on Wednesdays. KJ Arntz with Mitch Levy on Thursdays. Also, be sure to check out the Graz with Gas Take 5 podcast, which we now produce at Puck Sports. New episodes every Monday on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Just search Graz with Gas Take 5. That's it for us on a Tuesday. Again, Sports Pit with Matt Stretch Johnson coming out later today. Coming up tomorrow, we'll talk to Rob Staten, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Inside Pitch for you Posse members with Ryan Divish. And we've got the go-to guy is back as well. We'll see you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to love. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!